Welcome back. We are live at Equal Time Soccer. I'm Mark Pavratsky. I am here, lucky to be joined by someone ranking up stats as a goalkeeper this year, the nation's third stingiest goalkeeper at the time, and on the only undefeated team left in D1, which is the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Welcome, Jocelyn Tanner.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining, Jocelyn. You just wrapped up the regular season for the conference slate, and now you're in a position waiting for the conference tournament. You have 7 wins in a row, 18 goals for the team, just 3 allowed in this run, and like I said, still undefeated. What is it about the team that makes it so far literally unbeatable?
I think a big part of it is our connectiveness. Like, we love each other. That's huge. We play for each other. That's huge. And then just focusing on like the little principles that was our goal and not focusing necessarily on results usually turns into pretty good results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's there. Yeah, certainly there's a connectivity and a lot of returning players is the case. I mean, the trend in college sports with all the extra eligibility, but you certainly have a lot of core players returning. What was your mindset coming into this year? You came off obviously going into the NCAA tournament as a team. You won the conference tournament away, which was such a cool way to achieve that and get into the tournament. And you personally were the Summit Goalkeeper of the Year. So coming off that, where a lot of things went right, I'm sure you wish you could have gone further in the tournament. But for you, what was your mindset and your goal maybe coming into this year?
Personally, for me, I knew there was I had a good season last year, but I knew there was things I'm like, I can be better. We can be better as a team. And I think we all had a little sour taste after the loss at Pepperdine. So we knew we could have performed better and that we can make it through the second tournament or second round of the tournament. So that's our goal, is to take care of business one day, one game at a time. But like the big goal is, make it farther than we have before.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to come into the tournament too. It's still you and Denver up top. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that later. Talk about, this is something for folks who ever read the words that I write on Equal Time. Something we've highlighted because it's unique is your pure goalkeeping duo with Haley Fisher, meaning like you literally are splitting basically every minute. It's not exactly like every half, which is really unique. I mean, there's a lot of, in college soccer, subbing in general in offense and defense, but also like there is some rotation with goalkeepers, and that's not rare. But for you, is it rare to be literally splitting halves? Because that's something you might only hear of in youth soccer, right? To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, in club, I split all the way up till senior year.
Really?
So it's not a new thing for me. But yeah, I mean, in college, it's generally you pick one and you go with it. So it's very different, and we've made it work.
Yeah. How have you handled it in terms of mentality? Because that's one of the reasons, like if you were watching a soccer game, the commentators would say, well, wow, like that's tough for someone to come in at halftime and be sharp, and people don't, that's why partially, I mean, why people don't normally sub, goalkeepers. So I'm wondering for you, your experience, and as is Haley, but how have you handled that in terms of mentality and like preparation to be able to do that? Because it's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a little hard because you come in and you think, biggest thing is, watch what, like first half. If you're coming in second half, you have to pay attention who's dangerous, what is their attacking style. But it's always different when you get in there and you just have to adjust fast.
Yeah. Well, and maybe is that one of the, because you do, I mean, I look at the stats, but like you switch at halftime every game, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, the negative side of that, which I said, is people might be apprehensive, like, do you have rhythm? The positive side you could say is you're observing the team, and when you go in, you've observed them. So like you said, that can be a challenge, but is that one of the silver linings of how it can be a positive dynamic?
Yeah, I think for sure, because you see things on the side you don't see playing, and vice versa. So I think if you can bring like, we didn't handle this play right the first half, you can change that.
Right. And people love to talk about like the goalkeepers union and, keepers being a specific thing because it's a unique position to play. I played it poorly at times as a youth player, but I never had to compete in the way that you are. But also clearly you have to support each other because you know the dynamic that you're going to be splitting time. So I'm wondering, you split time before in the 2020 to 21 season. You split, but you would start and play the whole game
Yeah.
with Haley, as I think is what it looked like in the stat. So I'm curious for you two, like, how have you maintained the chemistry through the competition, and how has it made you better?
I think we have a great union or keeper union or whatever, but we get along really well. I think that's a huge part of it. We're, I think, honest enough to tell each other, like, hey, I think in this moment, this would have been better. So that's helped us both grow. But also, it's just like we're very competitive. So
Yeah.
we're competitive with each other, but like at the same time, more than anything, we want to win the game. So if we help each other during the game, challenge each other during practice, and then help each other during the games.
Yeah. Well, and it again, among drawbacks to taking the chance of switching keepers, I mean, the positive is obvious that both of you are engaged in every game. Like, you get to play in every game. So although, you, of course, you'd say, cool, I wish I could start every single game. Who doesn't want to do that? But there is a certain level of, you could be a backup keeper all year and only play bits, so the positive is, it very much looks like the Jackrabbits have 2 informed keepers going into the tournament, so that's not a bad thing at all.
Right.
Let me take a quick break to give a read for our sponsor, Pence Homes. This show is brought to you by Pence Homes. Whether you are buying or selling or looking to do some projects in your current home, Nate and Lydia can help you find what you need. Need financing for a basement remodel, looking at a second bath, or even a workspace? Now that you're working from home, Pence Homes and their preferred lender, Angie Shearer, with Luminant Financing, can find the right financing tool for you. Go to pencehomes.com to learn more, or find them on social media at Pence Homes. And as I always do, I have to say that the Pence Homes Realty team are wonderful customers at the Black Art Bar. And to me, that says a lot about a person if they're a nice customer to service employees. So shout out to Nate and Lydia for that. Let's take a minute to give some of your teammates some shine, Jocelyn, because you have a lot of teammates standing out. I mean, we could go down and down the list, and we try to focus on, we like to highlight Minnesotans playing D1, and so we could go deep on that as well. But just talk about starting off Maya Hansen, an easy person to target just because she became the all-time leader in points and goals for South Dakota State. So just for you as the keeper, trying to shut out anything else, what does she do to make, the game easy for you? What makes her a special attacker?
Well, first of all, she's an amazing person. We love her as a teammate, love her as a captain. She does little small things defensively as a forward, which is pretty rare that, you saw it at versus NDSU. It leads to goals, but it also makes, everyone behind her's job easier. So her work ethic is amazing. The person she is just amazing.
Yeah, she is so scrappy. She's a pest, I mean, on defense, and it is, it's fun to watch. And you can just tell when she gets the ball, I mean, like, you can sense this urgency with other players, but with her, you can kind of physically see her urgency. Like, she wants to get the ball in. So yeah, very, very fun to watch. It'll be fun to see. And she's already said she's coming back next year. So that record will not stand still. You can't imagine.
Every time she gets the ball, you're like, oh, she's going to score.
Yeah. And every time she gets the ball and doesn't score, it seems like she is, she's pissed off in a good way. Yeah. Talk about, you have siblings on this team, at least a couple pairs, it seems like. So, and this is, there's a couple sisters from Hawaii, which is just kind of fun. Obviously, the jokes about being in Hawaii and then being in South Dakota are pretty surface level and easy, but they are standing out. Carly and Casey Manding, Carly's 10 assists, Casey 5 assists, no goals. They're all about serving it up. So I don't know, talk about those sisters from Hawaii. That's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, they're such a core part of our team. We love them. They're awesome, great people. Carly's always controls the midfield, and Casey has been really cool because she's been a holding midfield up until this last year. Put her in center back, and she's shined there. She serves amazing balls, and she's just killing it in the back line. She's loyal as heck. She'll defend you no matter what, and that's a huge teammate. So
Yeah, you got to get in there and scrap. Which brings me. I mean, that's a good transition you presented, because the next person I was going to ask about is Rachel Preston, who she doesn't take any crap in the back for sure. She's continuing to shine, getting Player of the Week awards and everything. But um, for you, have as good a view for it as anything, because you see how the defense plays out. You see the role she plays more than us just seeing she's playing a lot of minutes and getting a shutout. For you, like, helping us to understand, what does she do that's special or unique, in leading the back, and just what makes her the player she is?
Organizationally, like, she's great. She's a great leader, does with mostly by example. Like, she just does little things right. She distributes the ball really well for a center back.
Yeah.
And then she's really good 1v1, winning balls, stepping in the moment she needs to, and dropping when she needs to. And that speaks to her experience, and great. She's an amazing player.
Yeah. Well, and she's one of those players with those COVID years of, like, you see such a veteran presence because they've been there, and she's coming off a year where she was killing it for Aurora too, playing, on a big stage. And yeah, really fun to see that. Shout out to Preston. Your individual stats, obviously you're in the mode of going to the conference tourney. So I'm sure you're in full team mindset. We already talked about how you split with your keeper partner, Haley. So you're in a team mindset there as well. But you are third nationally in goals allowed per game, goals against. So, I mean, winning is maybe the biggest thing, but I mean, seeing yourself, in an easily recognizable performance, like that, does it mean something? How much do you ever look at it? Yeah, explain that to us.
I don't pay attention to much of that. It's cool to hear some of that stuff, but yeah. I think it's more a testament to how great our team is and defensively, and how we focus on that.
Yeah. Well, and Haley Fisher's also, she's up there. I mean, somewhere, I think maybe 20th or something as well, obviously, because your defense has been good. You're the only undefeated team. We mentioned that. That's cool. I mean, and even obviously that's probably not enough for you all, because you want to make steps forward from last year. But what is it to do that? It means something. I mean, you're not playing, it's not like you're playing no opponents of quality. You have non-conference games that are tough. The Summit League is a very scrappy league, in the middle and top. So what is it that makes your defense consistent in the way that you just haven't been able to, lose a game? Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I don't even know. They're always behind you. Their organizational is a big thing that we focus on. Our head coach, he's defensive minded, so that helps a lot. Okay. And then just, they're really consistent in what they do in practice and during games, and it shows.
Yeah, clearly it's exciting to see. And you've been on a run, like I said. I mean, after you had a couple, you had a 0-0 draw with Denver, which is, no problem to hold them to 0. It's not like that's a bad result, but you had a run of not scoring so many goals. And then, like I mentioned, in the last 7, it's all wins and multiple goals in most games. So certainly good to find that form. What has been, I mentioned 7 wins in a row. What's your favorite win this season so far?
Ooh, probably Northern Arizona was fun, because we came from behind in that one. But I mean, we love beating Omaha. We love beating NDSU. Some of the teams will play a lot. It's fun because you're very familiar with them, and you can rub it in a little bit when you win.
Yeah, well, in NDSU, I mean, St. Thomas and NDSU are the most, in terms of what I look at, like how many Minnesotans on our team, they're the most Minnesotan. I mean, so when you're playing NDSU, you're playing teammates or opponents from other times, I'm sure.
I think I played, was it 4 or 5 girls on NDSU that basically that I played club with. So
yeah. Well, and how cool is it? So Summit League tournament expanded. So those are the teams, like we mentioned, where you have a lot more Minnesotans. South Dakota's in it as well. They have a few standout Minnesotans. But how cool is it to have the tournament expanded? One, I mean, you get to have some home games, so that's kind of a cool expanded thing. But then you have your Dakota rivals in it. So I wonder, does that just make it more interesting for you?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anyone on our side. NDSU is on the other side, but and Denver are on the other side. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's fun. It's great that we get a bye. That's huge, I think, and get
Mhm.
to host. So I like the expansion, and I think it really aids to whoever finishes in the top two. That really gives them an advantage.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see um, what that turnout is for your game because you guys have a good solid fan base, including all the parents driving west from the Twin Cities every time.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
look,
our homecoming week for football this week too. So
okay,
we'll be
sweet.
busy in Brookings.
That should work out. That'll be cool. Well, good that you get to actually host at least a semifinal this
Mhm.
year. Looking at the tourney, so you have a bye, which makes it kind of different. I do wonder for you, as a player and how as a team, how do you balance, not knowing which opponent that's going to be, although their opponents you certainly know, and then also how do you not maybe think forward to Denver? Because we know players say one game at a time, but you expect to be playing in the final and you expect it's probably Denver. So I wonder how you balance that as a player.
Yeah, I think the whole season we've been focusing on, ourselves mostly is we are thinking other teams are gonna have to change for us. We
Mm,
don't want to change the way we play for them, and most of the time that's what happens in Summit League when you have a target on your back. But it's very hard. So we'll go play our way either way on Sunday. And it's hard. You're right. It's hard not to look forward to Denver because
mm-hmm,
that's a rivalry. We think they got away with one this
mm-hmm,
year. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, we just have to refocus on our fundamentals, and then that'll lead to hopefully our success in both games.
Mm-hmm. How does
One,
beating Yeah, yeah. Well, how does beating them last year in Denver, because that was a really cool way for you to make it into the tournament, even though the tournament game, you put a big team that you face and it didn't end the way you probably like, but how much does it help bolster confidence for this year, knowing even if you do have to go away, for the Summit League type tournament to make sure you make it, that you have that under your belt from last year?
yeah, that's huge. I think we're a lot of teams. It's easy to be intimidated by Denver, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not anymore. We've done that, and we could have beat them this year. Like we feel
Mm-hmm.
it's very even playing field, and that if we play our way, we have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm. How much was the altitude a thing last year? First, like I don't go to altitude a lot. When I do, I notice it. I'm not the most in shape
Mhm.
person in the world, but I just wonder for you, and it's the fall, so maybe I don't know if the weather is a contributing addition. It's not. It's temperate there probably, but how much did the altitude mess with you?
So last year we were there. We played Denver for the final game of the regular season, and then we played
Mm.
the tournament there too.
Oh yeah,
So I think we felt a little the first game, but we
yeah,
didn't play our best in general. But by the end of that week, we were just as good as Denver in terms of altitude. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that worked out because teams try to balance it. They're like, and
Mhm.
teams who play in Colorado are like, do we fly in the day of to have
Yeah,
this, or do we, or
yeah,
acclimate? And yeah, you acclimated. So that, yeah,
yeah,
well, it'll be shorter this time, but now at
yeah.
least you guys know what to expect.
Yeah, and we've dealt with it before. We played Air Force last year. We played
Oh yeah,
Denver last year. This year we played Northern Arizona, which was
yeah,
higher than any we've played.
okay,
So we've dealt with it. We know how to deal with it. So we'll be fine.
yeah. Well, good non-conference scheduling on you, coach, to get
Yeah.
the altitude practice. Um, who is your favorite soccer player, Jocelyn?
Oh, I would always used to say Hope Solo, obviously, because
Uh
she's the best probably goalie ever, but
huh.
not the greatest person
Uh
to be a role model. But
Just
I,
mixed. It's mixed now, maybe a bit,
yeah,
but
but I would, in terms of like
yeah.
goalkeeping, she's the standard. So
Unbelievable to watch. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I grew up getting to watch her whole, kind of run because I mean, yeah, really impressive, and among everything else, still a really strong advocate for the game and for equality in the game.
yeah.
So we'll say that. Talk about what would you play? What sport would you have played in college if not soccer?
Ooh. If there was women's football, I would have totally been football,
Okay.
but otherwise
Okay.
probably basketball.
How long did you ever play, like, pee wee football? Like, what did flag
Uh,
football? No.
Only recess in elementary
I
school,
mean,
but
that's the best. That's the best, man. Yeah. What would you have? What position would you have played?
quarterback's the most entertaining, that's for sure.
Okay, all right, quarterback. All these soccer players going to be kickers. Jocelyn says no. I'm gonna
No.
go be a quarterback.
Yeah.
I love it. Favorite thing about Brookings other than like your teammates and the soccer world?
Sure. Well, so my mom grew up in Brookings. So
Okay.
my family's from Brookings, so I would just say having my family close is really nice. Spend some extra time with, people I didn't see very often growing up.
That's sweet. You'll go catch some real cooking from that. Like, it's like
Yes.
go. Yeah.
Yep. Every Thursday night, I take my class out to my aunt's for dinner, so that's really cool.
Oh man, your class. How many people? What are you talking about?
There's 6 of us. There's Maya, Mo, Egg, Delaney, Reagan, and me.
All right. That's pretty sweet. See, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, like I was happy to have a little space for my family in college, although I love them. But like, man, if you knew you could go get family fridge and family kitchen when you're a college student,
Yeah.
that's real. Yeah, I love that. That's great. Well, that's cool for you, and makes it easy for your parents to come out and other family to come watch. I'm sure.
Yep.
That's cool. What's the team you most want to beat in the Summit League?
Denver. Easy.
Denver. Easy. All right, they're coming for you again, Denver. Best away fans you faced. It could have been in like a high school state game, could be a college game. What's the best, or whether for you, whether it was the loudest or they were the most antagonistic?
We played UNI this year.
Yeah.
And they had a student section behind my goal, and
Okay.
They were rather funny. They were talking to me. They're saying they have a cat, and they actually did. Turns out they actually have a real cat at the game.
Nice.
They were pretty funny and entertaining.
That is so. Of all the things that can make sports fandom toxic, I'm a really big fan of that too, because I'm a big sports fan, but I don't get like mad at someone, and I love that they're expressing it, but also it's not mean, and it's also I've found as a fan who wants to distract players, being bizarre is a lot better than being mean, because you can get them. Yeah, clearly. I mean, you at least for a second were thinking about the cat.
I was, for sure.
So that's really funny. That's great. Shout out to the Panther fan. Who I want to know, like, especially like it's fun to listen to the keeper. Like if there's not a lot of fans, you can hear the keeper yelling and directing things. You also can hear the parents, and I want to know who are the I mean, you can find a way to sidestep this, or I should say, who are the most encouraging and vocal parents from the South Dakota squad?
That belongs to my class. That'd be Reagan and Maya's moms. They are quite rowdy, but their dads also they share a air siren that they are very proud to.
An air siren?
Every corner. And if they can't bring it in, they make the sound with their voices.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a couple of dads to me. Yep. Wow. I love it. I've met a couple of the Jackrabbit parents. So is the air horn, I mean, that's a fun thing. Is it distracting though as a keeper?
It's only on our corner kick, so for me,
okay.
I got plenty of time.
So maybe then maybe it works because it makes the other keeper, because I want to know what is it, an air horn or like a siren sound?
Like you have to wind it up.
Like
yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. Great. Like a tornado alarm. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to the dads. Look, they drove a long way to support you. Yeah. We take the dads, how they come. Yeah. Talk about your experience personally being an athlete during COVID, and then you also were already an athlete who redshirted a year, means you are like super eligible for college athletics, even though, so this is your 4th year of college, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess, like, I mean, athletics is really hard, but like, are you already going to graduate? Like, what are your plans for using your eligibility, or do you know yet?
So I graduated from undergrad last year.
Okay.
So I'm in my grad degree.
Okay.
And I will finish this in next fall, so in a year and a half.
Okay.
So, yep. So I think I'm listed as like a redshirt freshman or a sophomore.
You're a sophomore.
Sophomore.
You'd have 2 more.
Me.
So you plan to stay next year to finish that up, and then just maybe see where you go from there.
Yep, that's the plan.
Cool. Maybe get another graduate degree started.
Yeah, maybe a PhD. I don't know. No.
That's amazing. Well, especially because you already finished in 3 years. Well, making the most of thank you to the NCAA, I guess, for
Yeah.
granting eligibility.
Yep.
What is so? I talked to in the summer, like I said, I interviewed Maya Hansen and Rachel Preston. I asked them the goal for this year for the Jackrabbit team. I'm curious for you, and it may have changed. They were just talking to me in June, but for you, what is the goal for this postseason? And in specific, like how far do you think? Do you want the team to make it, or expect that you should be able to make it this year?
I think to the NCAA's is, a baseline. We love to make it past the first round. That'd be huge for the program. I think the best has ever made it past 2 rounds in Jackrabbit. So that's kind of always like a wishing goal, like maybe, but so just go as far as we can and enjoy ourselves along the way, I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah, well, it's going to be really fun for us to watch in terms of teams with Minnesotans making a difference who are also winning and really showing out in the postseason. South Dakota State is right up there, so it's really fun for us to watch. Everybody keep an eye out. So Friday, the 28th of October is the preliminary round to find out who South Dakota State will play, Omaha and North Dakota playoff. And then on Sunday, October 30th at 3 p.m., South Dakota State will host whoever wins that first game. We will definitely be covering it on equal time and paying attention to the other side of the bracket where Denver will play either Oral Roberts or North Dakota State. So, and then the final for the Summit League Championship is Saturday, November 5th. And so we'll most certainly try and amp that up as well, because that's the only certain way to make sure you're going to the tourney. Yeah. So that's the goal. 2 wins away. Jocelyn, Tanner, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for spending time and helping people get hyped for the Jackrabbit tourney run.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.